start with yes, because if we can start with yes, anything's possible.
Welcome to Agency for Change, a podcast from KidGlov that brings you the stories of changemakers who are actively working to improve our communities. In every episode, we'll meet with people who are making a lasting impact in the places we call home.
We're going to kick off today's show with a question. What if I asked you to make up a scene on the spot using random details from the audience about what's happening, and it's up to you to act out this scene off the top of your head? Would you be able to do it? Or would you freeze up in fear? I'm, of course, talking about improv, the form of comedy where you act out a situation without any preparation at all. So, what kind of skills does one need to be good at improv? According to a journalist at the Tennessean, things like being able to quickly accept new conditions, knowing how to tell a good story, being a strong listener, knowing when a scene should end, and working well with others are all key to the art of improv. In fact, says the article, these same skills are useful in the workplace where you probably already do them without realizing it. For example, when you receive last-minute changes to a project, or when you're brainstorming with your team about how to solve a problem, that is improv. So if you're saying to yourself, yes, and where is this going, Lynn? That was a little improv joke for you. Then stay tuned for today's guests who believed in the power of improv so much that they started a business that uses its principles to help companies increase emotional intelligence and enhance innovative thought. Find out how they lead experiential sessions with companies large and small, what it's like to start a business with your spouse, and how you can put improv to work in your own life. Hey everyone, this is Lynn Weinman, President and CEO of KidGlov. Welcome to another episode of the Agency for Change podcast. Today's guests are Gail and Bruce Montgomery, co-founders of ExperienceYes, which uses the tools and techniques of improv mindset to improve leadership skills, engage free-flowing creativity, increase team productivity, and develop healthy business cultures. Gail and Bruce, welcome to the podcast. I love you guys.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Everyone can tell right now that this is going to be a ton of fun. And Gail,
Yes.
For people who may not have heard of you, which I can't believe that would be the case. There's one or two somewhere. Tell us a bit more about the work that you do at ExperienceYes and who you help.
Sure, absolutely. So I am the CEO, and really, honestly, I'd like to rather say Chief Fun Officer than Chief Executive Officer.
That is such a great title.
I love that. And co-founder of ExperienceYes. So I am my husband's boss. Let that sink in for a hot minute.
Look, there is a real problem when you need to ask HR something, because it's just not, there's nothing fun about that. There's nothing fun.
Let's see. So my background is in HR and in change management. Really have a strong passion for putting people at the center of all business, because there is no business without people. And when people are happy and the culture is good, then great things happen for business. So I would say the work that we do is transformational. I'm going to say that. We're changing the world one business at a time.
I love that.
We are aspiring to make every company an ExperienceYes company. And that is one which practices the shared language of improv, which I'm sure we'll dive into. And it all starts with saying yes and knowing that staying curious and what possibilities might come are important. We work on culture. We help companies innovate and reimagine product and process. We we help leaders and teams become more high performing through increasing empathy and emotional intelligence. And again, as I mentioned, teaching that shared language of improv. And we also bring an air of fun into the workplace. I don't think there's enough of that going on. It's one thing to have a great team building experience. It's another to have that great experience and laugh and infuse it with joy, and then find ways to thread that through the business as it moves forward to continuing to put people first.
Wait, what? We're supposed to have fun at work?
I know.
What?
Never. We are never supposed to have fun
This
at
is
work.
kind of a new concept. I would like to say I coined it, and I'm pretty sure I didn't. So kind of in a nutshell, that's what we do. It's creativity, innovation, emotional intelligence, and the improv mindset is at the core of that.
Okay, there's one little word there you've said, I think, 3 times
Aha.
that might strike fear into hearts of those of us who don't do improv.
Dun, dun, dun.
And so, many of us, our experience with improv is A, completely avoiding it personally. B, maybe we've seen it on Whose Line Is It Anyway, a show that's been around for a while. Maybe we've seen an improv show at a bar and once again averted our eyes so as not to be called upon. But Bruce, I'm just really curious. How did these examples compare with the kind of improv exercises you do when you are in a training situation?
Yeah. Well, first, I would like to say, Lynn, you are a bold-faced liar because you do improv every day. Even this conversation that we're having right now, when you got up this morning and after you got your cup of coffee, I guarantee you things were completely different than they were yesterday.
I am not kidding when I tell you, you can't see my face right now. This is exactly what I was thinking. And when you asked this question, I was thinking, I hope Bruce says that. She's improvising right now.
You were hoping I was going to call her a bold-faced liar. That's what you wanted me to do.
That's not nice. That's not
I don't
nice.
get called that very often, Bruce, and still smile and laugh about it. So
No,
you've got
it's
the
true.
charm.
We are all improvising every day, and we assume that when put in a situation like what you see in Whose Line Is It Anyway, or what you might see, in the back hall of a college campus, where a bunch of people are doing improv, is that it's really awkward, it's really uncomfortable. Where we like to focus and where we like to really spend our time is that understanding that the brain is a system. And that is a system that can be changed. And we'll probably delve into it more in more detail when we talk about neuroscience behind improv. But the idea is in our sessions is to get your brain out of the way. Using this framework of improv and guidelines or rules of improv that we like to focus on. We like to focus on 4 core rules: yes and, listen with the intent to serve, support your teammates at all costs, and trust your instincts. That is the framework, that is the foundation for a high-performing team. That's the framework to get your brain out of the way and really create and collaborate together.
Honestly, I love those 4 rules, and I want to co-opt them as KidGlov core values. I mean,
I like this.
the listen with intent to serve and protect your team at all costs. I may not have said that one quite right, but I love those 2 things. Amazing, just amazing.
Yeah, we're pretty big fans of it. And I think, when we get to talking about the neuroscience of things, the disruption piece, right, the getting the brain out of the way will make a bit more sense.
Yep.
And I think we just get so caught up as we grow into adulthood and then get into the mundane, everyday working of our life that we forget how to be playful, how to be creative. And we take less risk, and we are more inclined to say no and to just stay safe in our little box as we know it and move through life. And that, while it may keep you safe, is, to me, not a life well lived.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So let's talk about the neuroscience of things. You both mentioned it a couple of times because those things don't necessarily go together in my brain, right? Improv, neuroscience, work culture. How do we get our hands around all of this?
I'm going to tee it up for my husband because he's going to get really excited about this and he might come out of his chair.
Yeah.
So I'm going to first, I'm going to attach that seatbelt, keep him in.
Yeah.
Because I know one thing he's going to say is that I am not as interested in data as he is. And the truth is, when we first started, I wasn't, and now I am. So I've already said it. Yes. I'm a converted data geek. Yeah, go for it.
So I'm a nerd at heart, Lynn. I'll be perfectly honest. I cut my teeth after being in New York as an actor, cut my teeth as a management consulting in IT. I ran the IT organization for one of the largest theaters in the country. I worked for a sports and entertainment company in data and analytics. So I kept coming back to data. And
nerd alert.
I know, total nerd.
Nerd alert. Nerd alert.
And so I was getting my MBA at DU, the University of Denver, and I had an entrepreneurial class, and they kept asking, what do you love to do, and can you turn that into a business? What do you love to do, and can you turn that into a business? And I kept coming back to, Gail and I were introduced to improv around 2006. I wish we had done it when we were actors in New York. That would have been great, but we didn't find it until later. And
that's awesome.
And my brain immediately went, wow, this is my jam. I love this, not just a little bit. I want to embody this at all times. And so.
Oh, and that's not to say there isn't fear and, self-loathing and like lots of self-judgment. All of that comes with it too.
Yes. So I sat there in 2013 going, I love improv. I understand management consulting and kind of how it works and how businesses work. Can I somehow combine that? Mm-hmm. And I simply Googled while class was going on. So I was sitting there, the instructor was going, don't judge me. While it was going on.
And all students are doing that all the time.
Exactly. So I Googled neuroscience and improv. And this study came back with a researcher named Charles Lim, who at the time was out of Johns Hopkins. And he studied jazz musicians under functional magnetic resonance imaging, fMRI.
That's a mouthful.
Wow.
He studied their brains, basically. And fMRI is really cool because it takes a look at where the blood goes. And when the blood goes there, they know that what's happening is the brain is accessing that part of basically your body is accessing that part of the brain, or your brain is accessing. Well, things are happening in the brain.
Things are happening.
Yeah.
So
he's not
it's very scientific.
Right. Yes. Yeah. But I play one on TV.
Plays one on TV.
So basically what happens is, with what they found with jazz musicians in fMRI, if you put them in there and you have them play a memorized piece of music, a certain part of the brain activates and having to do with working memory and listening. When you play jazz, which requires a whole different set of things, a very specific part of the brain, I'm going to say it out loud, the dorsal lateral prefrontal cortex.
Oh, yeah, that part.
Yes, the DLPFC. It's the executive judge. It sits right in the forward part of the left part of your brain. And it's responsible for judgment. It's responsible for risk and analyzing risk and saying no. It really is responsible for saying no.
And so important. So we don't step out into the street and, get hit by a car.
Right.
Yes. But for collaboration, for something like jazz, basically what has to happen is that part of the brain needs to go away because you're going to collaborate and listen and do something new. I saw this TED Talk, which everybody should look up. It's just type in Charles Lim, LIMB, and neuroscience,
all right,
or jazz, and it'll come back. And I went, this is what happens with comedic improvisers, 100%. There have been no studies about it.
You took a huge leap.
Yeah.
We based our business off an assumption.
Yes. Well, what's exciting is in 2018, Charles studied us. So we actually had our brains analyzed from a comedic improviser standpoint. He's now at the University of California, San Francisco. And we had our brains studied, and they basically proved that the same thing happens. This DLPFC gets suppressed. It basically gets shut down a little bit. And the rest of these connections, these neural pathways of something called the default mode network, just light up, having to do with collaboration and listening, creativity, all of those things. So what we know is you don't need 15 years of musical theory to get to this point. You can do it in 45 minutes with comedic improv interventions and get to a creative state very, very fast. Sorry, that was a lot of words.
It was a lot of words.
Improv works better than a whack on the side of the head.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
well, and it's funny you should say that because there is also proof that universities have done where they have zapped people.
Yeah, where they
with
put
like wet sponges and like lemon juice and batteries.
Yeah.
Does
And
that work?
they've been able to create this same kind of temporary suppression of this DLPFC. And all we say is, look, guys, ours is a lot more fun.
Yes.
Wow.
You don't need to use batteries, lemon juice, and sponges.
There's a whole bunch of DIY stuff where people are they're like, that's terrifying. Just do improv.
Yeah.
Just do
Yeah,
improv.
since we do a lot of creative work at KidGlov. If my team members start seeing me bringing in sponges and lemon juice, they should worry, huh?
Definitely.
Improv does sound better than that.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I love that.
Hey, Gail and Bruce, I want to take a quick break here because I do want to share something from one of our podcast partners, and then we'll be right back.
As a podcast listener, you already know the power of the human voice to take messages from the ear to the brain to the heart. I'm Mark, a creative coach dedicated to the study of what motivates people to take action. In my podcast, I chat with leaders who think beyond marketing, who are building long-lasting connections with people who'll pay them lots of money to do the important work the world needs. You can follow the podcast and check out previous episodes at earbrainheart.com. That's earbrainheart.com.
All right, Gail and Bruce, let's get back to this fantastic conversation.
So you guys have actually written a book on this.
Yes.
What was that like? Tell us a bit more about the book. Tell us and make sure you tell us the name of the book and where we can find it. And we'll link that in the show notes today.
Well, and first of all, I'm going to a shout out to anyone out there who has written a book, is writing a book, wants to write a book. It is a very difficult thing to do. A lot of people would say, oh, no, it's easy. Just start putting pen to paper. It's tough. Your whole ego gets in the way.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the same as it used to be in terms of finding publishers to be able to support you and launch it. If you're already famous, that's easy. If you're like us, you self-publish. So it's called The Improv Mindset, and it is on Amazon. It is in English and in Spanish.
And an audiobook. Recorded by yours truly.
Did you guys? I love it when people record their own books. That's my favorite.
I think it should always be in the audience or the author's voice. And oh my gosh, the next time we see you, Lynn, and you come to our house in Colorado, we must show you the tiny little cupboard under the stairs Harry Potter place where we recorded it. Because
it was tight. It was tight.
Super tight. We were very sweaty while we were recording that. There was a lot of sweat. It's, you know what?
I'm going to listen to this book over the weekend and imagine the two of you in the cupboard under the stairs.
It is really, it's not an easy thing to do, especially when you have different voices and you have different writing styles.
And you're married.
And
you work together, which is so impressive also.
Yeah. And I think that what it did more than anything, we never set out to write it to be a bestseller. If it becomes one someday, yay. I feel like our byproducts of that experience are multitudes. There's just one is it got us really crystal clear about what our message is and what it is we wanted to do with the knowledge that we had and the experience that we had. That's one. Two, it became kind of instant credibility for us because people realized, with the data side, it gives people more than just, this is fluffy kind of a perspective about us. And then I think the third thing is that we're able to use it as a support tool for when we come into sessions. We can say to people, hey, there's more of this great stuff in here. Use this, dive in, because to change behavior and to change the way we speak to one another and show up for one another takes time.
And the focus, it's funny if you think about what we went, how we created it. We started from the academic side. So I think we referenced 45 or 50 different academic studies in improv, in communication, in listening, in culture, just really trying to bring in not just our own credibility, but the credibility of others who've actually studied this, who have really take a look closely at all of these things. And that's the way the book's kind of organized. It starts with you and yourself, kind of your personal, your own brain, if you will. Then it looks out at the team. Then it looks out at an organizational culture and kind of builds from there.
I love the way you bundle this all together, from the foundation of science and data into improv and fun. So what does it look like when clients engage with you? What do these sessions look like? What does it feel like? Yeah.
So when we first started, we thought, what's this going to be? What does this content look like? We knew we wanted to do some kind of disruptive, experiential interventions that were very activity based, because we knew that was going to get people to disrupt that part of their brain and get thinking differently. And so it started really as a means of innovation and creativity, which we still do. Companies bring us in when they're stuck, when sales are plummeting, when they have really bad process and they want to re-engineer and rethink the way their process is. And that's been really fun. That has actually been the basis for a few case studies that we've done. And then it's kind of morphed into, as we have spent time with clients in their own space, we've started to see, they're attracted to the emotional intelligence piece. And I'm certified as an emotional intelligence practitioner. So we designed kind of an emotionally intelligent leader course and teams course. And then, Bruce got certified in design thinking, and he realized, wow, we want to take the innovation thing a step further, not just from a design thinking standpoint. We want to wrap that up in this new language that they can speak going forward. And then we also started talking to a lot of people who were kind of customer focused, and realizing that not only did they, as teams and leaders within the company, need what we were talking about, they wanted to increase these and deepen these complex relationships with their customers and their clients. So we've just put kind of the final touches on our customer relationship ninja program, which involves the improv mindset, emotional intelligence, empathy, and influence. And we've had a really great time putting that together. The response has been great. So we engage in half-day sessions. We do keynotes. We've done half-day sessions. We've done full day, and we've done multi-day
and multi-month.
Multi-month. It just depends on the client and what their final goal is, right? What is the deliverable they're looking for?
Yeah.
What do they want to see happen with their team or themselves?
Yeah, it would seem weird if a company with your background and premise would deliver very tightly defined in-the-box solutions, right? I imagine everything you do is based in the science and your process, but also highly customizable as well.
Well, and Ken, I just want to say, for the record, one of my huge pet peeves, and we're working on this as a business too, to show up in this way for our clients. It makes me crazy when people send their teams to a one-off, or even a 2-day or conference, and they come back from this conference or they come back from these sessions, they're pumped, they're inspired, they tell each other what happened, and then that little notebook or that little digital guide goes in a file or a folder and is gone forever. And no one holds each other accountable for changed behavior or new ways of looking at things and being inspired. It makes me nuts. It makes me nuts.
It's why we use a lot of metaphor. Sports metaphor is one of the ones that we use quite commonly. If you think about sports teams, and what they do exceptionally is that they practice together. If you think about a business team, when have you ever practiced as a business team?
Never.
As a matter of fact, when I was a management consultant, usually a business team was formed like this: you're breathing, you've got free time, you're breathing, go solve this problem. And then you've got all this fear, uncertainty, and doubt kind of working against you to then get to being a team and then start working. It just takes a long time.
Yeah.
So by practicing these rules, by practicing this framework, your ability to form a team faster goes up exponentially.
I love that. And I want to go back to, if you become a ninja, like, what does that look like? I want to be a ninja.
I do too, and I'm working on it. That's actually one of the best things that I feel like. So I ascribe to the company Genos, Genos. That's the company that I am certified through with emotional intelligence, as are a couple of great friends of ours, Christina and Alex. And they talk about how no one's emotionally intelligent 100% of the time. And you cannot be a ninja 100% of the time with your clients. So even Bruce and I are on a lifelong journey to continue to increase these skills. Our goal is really to take people or teams who are forward thinking about going to that next level. And I know that sounds very cliche. They're serious about getting out of their ego, like stopping all of their impulse conversations and their desires from an ego base, and moving more towards a servant base. Like, how can I stay connected to you as a client? How can I continue to provide value to you? How can I listen to you better? How can I create space so you can share with me? And how can I provide, the right, not forced influence and guidance, more along the lines of subtly invited guidance and nuance, influence. So that's what I'm thinking.
You build on these belts, improv being kind of the first belt.
Your white belts.
Emotional intelligence being the next belt, up into empathy, up into influence. Those bring you to that ninja status.
Yeah, what a great idea and a great program. So I'm curious, somebody who does as much free-flowing work as you do, have you ever been in any really crazy situations that you can share?
Sure.
Oh my gosh.
Never, huh?
Well, let's start with this week.
Yeah. So
2 days ago, I'll give you 2 days ago.
So 2 days ago, we went to go work with a law firm. We've got a program around the emotionally intelligent lawyer, which they would tell you freely that does seem like an oxymoron. That is their words,
nodding
not
my
ours.
Head.
And that they want to be.
And we've been working with them, kind of getting together and figuring out what we were going to do for them. And we were excited. And their room that they had reserved fell out. It just, for some reason, they couldn't get it. And they said, well, just come to our offices and we'll do it here.
Okay, sure.
And we'll often we'll say it to ourselves, we're an improv company. We should be able to flex pretty easily.
We can't flex. We can't teach it.
And usually we'll also have our clients go, well, you're improv, so you'll do this. And we're like,
hilarious.
Oh, okay. Well, we get there, and I'll let Gail take it over.
Well, let's just say it's one of those older homes in Denver that's been taken over by a law firm with those small 1940s and 50s rooms.
Mm-hmm. That all have doors, yes, and they're creaky.
Yeah, so we walk in. I'm guessing this was like the salon, the welcome room in one of these old homes. Yeah. It probably is, I'm going to say 12 by 10.
Maybe 12 by 10.
Yeah.
I'm feeling claustrophobic already.
Oh, yeah.
20 people.
20. And we couldn't.
0.
And they had those big, ginormous office chairs that have the huge arms on the side and they're just clunky. And we walk in and they are pushing these chairs in rows there where we have seriously enough room to stand in front of them. Yeah. They're spilling out into the entryway.
Into the vestibule.
We're hoping that they can see, our very limited PowerPoint deck and then we're thinking to ourselves, okay, every time we do a session, it's experiential. Where are we going to go?
We need to stand up.
We have to get in a circle. We have to have them in different teams. We have to do these activities so luckily, thank you, Colorado, we had one of our 325 sunshiny days. We stepped outside. The porch was beautiful. We had people on the porch in the front yard. I mean, the neighbors must have been wondering what the heck was going on.
Yeah, yes, they must have.
And we had more fun. And they have a trial that's coming up in a couple of weeks that they were really, I guess, focused on, and it was difficult to get them present, right?
Really
especially the partners who were managing this particular case. And so we took it upon ourselves as like a solid mission. Like we got to not look stressed. We got to do this. We got to say yes and to every single thing we're experiencing right now. And we did it. We did it, Lynn.
I love it.
And celebrated with a beautiful, fabulous lunch. Let me tell you.
Oh, Oh, good for you. That sounds fantastic. Fantastic. So are there any misconceptions about the work that you do that you would like to straighten out while we're talking here?
Yeah, one of the things I'd like to say is the misconception about what we do is that it's scary, right? I think even you, Lynn, at the top of this is like, oh, I don't do that. That's scary. And what we would say, again, back to the top of our conversation, you're doing it every day. You are already improv. You're already there. It's just a process of getting that part of your brain that's saying no, that's scared of failure, out of the way, that you can then be performant, right? You can then get into doing something that's really special.
In fact, I would say that is where the people who say out loud, I'm scared, who have their arms crossed at the beginning, who are engineer minds, operations minds, IT minds,
psychiatrists. We did a room full of psychiatrists.
They are the ones that have the largest growth, and they'll come to us after and say, I'm going to tell you, I almost left, or I almost had to go to the bathroom. I almost, I didn't want to do it. And they will tell us at the end, in fact, one of the people at the law firm said, when we asked for what was your aha for today, said, it wasn't as scary as I thought it was going to be. And we practice an exercise that's basically called Got Your Back. And it immediately, I think, connects everyone in a way and brings down that temperature in the room in terms of anxiety, so that everyone feels like we're in it together. No one's filming. This isn't going on the evening news, and we're all in it together.
Well, and one of the things that we stress is this is fun.
Yeah.
People are better connected when they're laughing. Yep. Laughter is so unique to the human condition, right? It is something that we do and is contagious. Like, it's a phenomenal thing. So if you can laugh together, you can move mountains. Yeah. You just got to remember to laugh. And it's that constant reminder of, okay, guys, no matter what we're going to do today, we're going to laugh a whole bunch.
Yeah. I love that. Honestly, as a business owner, I love it when I hear laughter in the office, because I know then that the energy is flowing, that people are connecting. I love hearing laughter in the office. But, going back one more time to talk about things that are scary, I'm going to tell you guys a secret. My greatest fear is singing in public. And you do this thing called dashboard improv.
You do.
Yes.
Can you tell us about dashboard improv? And I'm just going to say to everyone, they should follow you on LinkedIn so that they can experience dashboard improv. And we'll put the links in the show notes.
Awesome. Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, thank you for bringing that up. We love it. We love it. I was really reticent to, this is what's crazy. Singing is actually my superpower.
Wow.
You wouldn't know it. You wouldn't know it from the dashboard.
Yes, though. You're so comfortable with it.
Gail has a gift. I worked really hard for my voice, right? I took lessons and stuff. Gail came out of the womb being able to sing like she can. So
at any rate, you wouldn't know it by dashboard improv. I was reticent to do it. Bruce said, Gail, I really want to show people that improv happens all the time.
Yeah.
And
your car, driving to the store.
Car. And we are, there's one of them, I don't know if you've seen it, where, we're not always singing along with the radio. Sometimes we're making a comment about someone who cuts us off on the road or about a car we see or about somebody's, hubcaps, whatever it is. And that's what we do in the car all the time. This is how Bruce and I are in the car. And he said, we just need to throw something on the dashboard and we'll just record each time we're in the car, and we'll probably find some gems in there. And
it's funny. This came out of last November. I had a dream about dashboard improv, and I'd been thinking about it. So then I did some experiments, and I was like, well, it's a little more difficult, and I'd have to learn. And then I kept pressing myself, like, I think this is really fun for us because it's us being us. And let's just put it out there, right? Let's just do it. It's amazing how many clients have come to us.
Oh my gosh.
Even new clients, like, well, hey, can we tell you a little bit about ourselves? And they're like, no. We've watched all your dashboard.
We know who you are.
Yeah, we've watched it all. We know who you are.
We were so surprised by that because it doesn't,
Yes.
it doesn't show up on YouTube unless you're logged in. And so we don't always know how many views there are. And yeah, I mean, I think that's been the most surprising thing. So it's fun. And you know what, Lynn, you have a personal invitation
to come sit in the back of our
time,
car.
You don't even have to sing. You can just make comments or facial expressions and work yourself. We'll put little bubbles above your head, like to pretend like we know what you're thinking.
Yeah. I think sweat is breaking out on my forehead.
Today is a good example. Today's was a Gloria Gaynor sign.
Hey, I will survive.
I will survive. And most of it is us just riffing off each other. It's not even singing the song.
We're talking a lot of the time. We're going back in time and talking about our 1970s selves.
Yes.
That's how old we are, people.
It's not pretty.
We are old.
I remember my 1970s self. So.
Yay!
Well, you two are so inspiring that I have been really looking forward to asking you this next question, because everybody who listens knows this is my favorite question, because I love positivity. I love to be inspired. I feel so lucky to get to talk to people like you on the podcast.
Aww.
That I do. I sincerely do. I want a Gail Montgomery and then a Bruce Montgomery quote for our listeners.
All right, I've got one.
You do? Is it different than you think the one I'm
positive it's different than the one that you
All right, because I was thinking of maybe
because the one that goes first might get to steal the other one's quote. That's just part of the game.
You know what? I'm going to say, and I have, we know our number one rule with the improv mindset is yes and. My dear, dear friend, Christina Amagoni, who you know as well.
And she was on the podcast. She and Alex, so much fun from
love
Siamo.
Those guys from Siamo. Love them. And they just had Kelly Oberndorf join, which is awesome. Christina gave me this block that I keep very close to me, and it says, start with yes. And I keep it close to me all the time as a great reminder about how I want to welcome the day. Is to start with yes, because if we can start with yes, anything's possible.
So good.
Thanks,
I love it.
Thanks.
Bruce, you got to live up. That's a good one to live up to.
So to go back to fun and laughter, I think this is the frame of mind that I try to come at. And it's not, there are times to be serious. And let's be honest, there are a lot of times to be serious.
We got plenty of those.
And there are plenty of them. So my argument would be, if you're not laughing, it's not worth it. You really got to bring that whole laughter mindset, that improv mindset to how you live, how you breathe, and how you think.
I love that, Bruce. I love
laughing. That's what
that is so good. If you're not, start with yes. And if you're not laughing, it's not worth it. You guys.
Look at how profound we sound.
That's deep. Wow, that's
so
deep.
Profound.
Very deep, very deep. So, for everyone who is now so impressed with those amazing quotes, how can they find out more about you?
Well, you can find us on LinkedIn, Gail Montgomery and Bruce Montgomery for sure. And we have an ExperienceYes page, although I must admit I'm not as up to date on that as I want to be. You can visit our website at ExperienceYes.com.
You can go to our YouTube channel, ExperienceYes YouTube channel, which has all of the dashboard improv videos if you're interested in looking at that, along with some other stuff like trailers and teasers and our copies of our stuff from our last book.
And you can reach out to us by email too. We're open to that. Gail at ExperienceYes.com and Bruce at ExperienceYes.com.
Great.
It looks like ExperienceYes.
Yeah.
For everyone who's listening, we'll get all of those links on the KidGlov website in the show notes as well, so people can connect with you. All right, Gail and Bruce, such a fun conversation. As we wrap up today, I'd love for each of you to tell me what is the most important thing you'd like our listeners to know about the work that you're doing.
For me, I would say there is not nearly enough investment financially, time-wise, and emotionally in developing our teams and our leaders in our companies. And I would like people to start focusing more on that, recognizing that the byproduct will be all of the things that make businesses wonderful.
Bruce?
I have a challenge for them.
Ooh, a challenge.
I'll give them an exercise that they can do that I think is really, really critical.
Oh, I'm getting nervous again.
Yeah,
Don't get nervous. It's not singing.
No, it's good.
It's not singing, Lynn. It's not singing.
I'll use you as the example, Lynn, and this is true. So this is not just you, but everybody. You are exceptional at saying no. Your brain, based on that DLPFC, right, is gifted at saying no. And you say no in a variety of ways. You might say, yes, but, or however, or still.
That's the big one.
But is the big one. But yes, but I don't think we can do it because of this, rather than yes and, right? Coming back to that yes and mantra. So my challenge to you today would be to take a week and count every single time you say the word no. And it might be no, still, however, but however you say no.
Maybe.
Count it for a week. Just do it day by day by day. How many times did I say the word no? And then next week, try to reduce that number by 10%.
Oh,
wow.
Just see what happens.
Find an accountability partner, Lynn, to help you count too, and call you out.
It will dramatically change your life. It will dramatically change how you operate in your business. It will change everything.
The first listener who sends us the correct number of times I said but and Bruce said but in this entire podcast.
Oh, wow.
Because I heard us say
we still do it.
We'll get a free copy of both the Improv Mindset and our new book, Change, A Leader's Guide to Fixing Shit.
Ooh,
the first person who
smart.
correctly gets in touch with us and sends us those numbers. I like it.
Love it.
And you know what? Here is a secret. The whole transcript is going to be on the website, so you can count.
Right.
They still have to go through the transcript.
They still have to go through the transcript. Okay, so my takeaway.
Find but.
My takeaway from this is more ands, less buts.
Yes, less butts. I think we could all agree we'd like less butts.
Less butts. Oh, this has been worth it because there has been much laughter. So
yay.
Yeah. Gail and Bruce, what a fun time together. I fully believe the world needs more people like you. So thank you so much for taking time. Yeah.
Right back at you, Lynn. We appreciate the interest and the care that you take to find out about who we are and what we're doing. And I'm very, very thankful, filled with gratitude.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you both.
We hope you enjoyed today's Agency for Change podcast. To hear all our interviews with those who are making a positive change in our communities, or to nominate a changemaker you'd love to hear from, visit KidGlov.com at KIDGLOV.com to get in touch. As always, if you like what you've heard today, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and share. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.